Tash Courtenay-Smith.
Hey guys, welcome to DTC Live. Welcome to DTC Live. It's so amazing to see so many of you here. We've tried to advance things, which is why we might have a few sort of technical things. We have walk-on music, we have more stage lighting. So overall, you'll notice a few sort of up-levelings of DTC Live. So first of all, who's been to DTC Live before, just so I know who's in the room? Some of you have, so everyone else, and who's been to one of our Game Changers workshops? Who's never met us before? Oh, okay, so quite a few of you have never met us before. I've met some of you on Zoom calls, though. So before we get started, I need to say a massive thank you to all of our sponsors. So when we set out to build DTC Live, I'm going to tell you more about it as we go along, but we really wouldn't be able to do this without our sponsors. There's a huge amount of technology and SaaS in the e-commerce world, and we really try to sort them out. There's up to 100 apps that launch on the Shopify store every single week. I don't know how brands are meant to make a choice of what to use. So we try and organise the sponsors, sort them out, and bring you the really best in technology. So these are all our sponsors here. I will be reading them all out later, and many of them are going to be joining us on stage to talk about what they do. But if you meet one of our sponsors, give them a massive thanks, because without them, we wouldn't be able to run D2C Live. So we have a super packed agenda for today. I mean, no one's going to remember all of that, but as you can see, we're joined by going to have some amazing brands on stage, such as Elemis, Joshua Cull. I mean, to give everyone a shout out would be impossible. So we've tried to get the best brands and the best tech here to join us on stage. And we really want to hear from you in terms of Slido. So I think I saw that the Slido slides might have been in the wrong order, but if they are, we will find them and sort that out. But basically, you're going to be holding up a QR code. Is this it? If you could, is that the joining QR code? If you could just scan that QR code, it should bring up an interactive poll on your phone, which we have a couple of questions that we're going to ask you. Now, I can't see if it's working or not. Is it working? Is everyone getting an interactive poll on their phone? Are you all getting this question? Someone's typing. So let's start by asking you guys, just so we can hear from you. Thank you to the person who's typing. Keep typing. What are the biggest challenges you're facing in your D2C channel at this point in time? 11 people typing. I want to see 60 people typing. And basically, the answers are going to start appearing here. Some of this is emotionally triggering, reading this stuff. Facebook bans. Who's put Facebook ban? Okay, I should have known. That's why it's emotionally triggering, because I'm actually experiencing this right now. Meta performance. Who's put meta performance? No one's confessing. Okay, so what are we seeing here? So many new apps. Exactly, that's why we try and sort this out. So crowded market, gaining new customers, Amazon squeezing margins. I saw Amazon cannibalization. We've actually got a panel coming up on Amazon and how to really master and win at that channel. Content creation, trust, traffic, high acquisition cost, a saturated market, retention, cost of acquisition, fragmented marketing. I mean, the whole day is going to be about fragmented marketing and how difficult it is for brands to deal with all these channels that now exist. So we'll just wait for people to finish typing. Is anyone happy to see they're not alone with any of these challenges? I think often brands feel that they're alone, but one thing we see, and we talk to so many brands through this community, from really small startup brands through to brands that are doing 100 million plus in revenue. And what I found really interesting is actually they all say the same thing, even though you might think one of them is incredibly sophisticated and one of them's a startup. When you actually listen to what they're saying, they're all talking about the same challenges. Okay, next question. Do you have any concerns about your team and their understanding of the D2C channel? Don't all type at once. Well, actually, all start typing. Do we need to scan the code again, Shiv? Where is Shiv?
5 typing.
5 typing. Great, that's working then. Who put that? They need to know everything. I mean, that's definitely true. These e-commerce teams do need to know everything, which is incredibly difficult to do. The ever-changing landscape, the pace of change. Retail versus DTC, we're going to be covering that shortly this morning. Cash constraints, empathy, channel conflict. Sharing the founder's passion. I mean, that's such a true thing, isn't it? That you can't ever expect your team to do exactly the same as what you do within your business. Teams having to be a jack of all trades, that's certainly true. The digital marketers today need to be incredibly knowledgeable and dexterous. Profitability, consistency across, someone's really feeling strong about consistency across teams. Someone's shouting consistency across teams is what I'm stressed about. I mean, one thing we've realised in the past 2 years of running this community is that many e-commerce brands, again, from small ones up to the very biggest, are significantly under-resourced in terms of what they need to do and what they need to be able to do, and then the people they're actually employing, whether that's on staff or freelancers. So all of this, which all of you have there's still one person typing, but all of you have shared, is absolutely commonplace for all brands. We see this all the time. And that's one of our reasons for putting on events like DTC Live. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll past this slide. We just need to change back, I think, to the other slides. So this is what brands tell us all the time, to summarise, and a lot of that's reflected in what you've just said. E-commerce is highly competitive, they've got less to spend. The teams are overwhelmed with skill gaps. The platforms are always changing. The agencies are rubbish, we hear this all the time. Terrible agencies out there, my God, it sounds like a nightmare. Creative isn't cutting through, and brands are in data and tactical overwhelm. So our question this year, understanding all of this, has been, how can brands get everything they can out of all that they've got? And that's something that, as we've put together everything in DTC Live this year, from Game Changers workshops to our content, we're always thinking about. We can't just tell these brands to get more, because they don't have the money, they're under too much pressure, they don't have the people, so how do we help them get more out of everything they've got? And what I'm going to be talking about in our brief intro is the story of DTC Live and thoughts to become things, which is one of my favourite mottos that I live by, and a few other mottos that we live by in terms of who's in the room with you today, who you're going to be able to learn from, and what sort of things you can expect to learn from them. So I used to think that this thoughts become thing is very woo-woo, right? You know, it's like, oh, thoughts become things. It's very The Secret. And it's actually not that complicated. It's just a question of what you think about, you focus on, you take action in, and then it therefore, you know, if you're American, you say it manifests in the real world. But, you know, because we're British, it's more like, and then it happens, you know, because you focus on it, it's what happens. That's what happens. So let me just tell you a bit about DTC Live. Now, this is a picture of me that I put on LinkedIn earlier this week. I was pissing in Ibiza for sure. I'm definitely dancing in a hotel room. That's a bit cringe. But what is more important about this photo is all those Post-it notes on the window there. And that was the start of DTC Live, when my partner and I started thinking, okay, we see a lot of brands, we see a lot of common issues. We know there's lots of tech partners wanting to access brands. You know, how can we bring this together and what can we create? So those Post-it notes there were actually the start of what became DTC Live. We just thought there's got to be a way. You know, in America, there's a lot of communities of e-commerce brands and meetups and all that stuff. And at the time, there wasn't that sort of thing here. So we decided to create a community and platform that could support and inspire brands. That led to our very first conference in November 2021. Was anybody here at that conference? Some of you were, yeah. Nick, you were. I remember that. You were. And that went from a kind of, oh, could we get some people together, into a really great event, wasn't it, Nick? You can vote for it. We had fantastic speakers. We had 120 brands in the room. And we saw the immediate impact of brands getting to know each other. I'm always like, I can't believe some of you guys don't know each other. I was just saying to 3 of you, Adam, I don't know where, Simon, you need to meet these guys as well. I so often meet people and I'm like, you're all so similar and you should be best friends. And how do you not know each other? Because you're all doing such similar roles. You think the same way, and you're at brands, you'd really be able to learn from each other. So we immediately saw the impact in terms of making connections and sparking conversations. Since then, we've done 85 newsletters. We've had 16 monthly Game Changers workshops. Some of you have been to them. They're the workshops where we really train in-house teams. We've had 4 flagship conferences. This one is our 5th. This one is our biggest yet in terms of people in the room, and also we've got a large audience joining us online today, and hopefully they can see us and hear us. But this is our biggest online audience that we've had to date. And we've had 2 summer socials at Royal Ascot. Has anyone been to a Royal Ascot event? I mean, they are good. You know, they are really great. And in total, over 1,000 brands and investors and funds have been to our events in person since starting, which is just a fantastic result. And we're really thrilled with that. Many of you are on our newsletter. We're really proud of our newsletter. You know, we know it's really long, and I know it's really long. And I always think, God, you know, this newsletter's so long. But I'm like, no, we've got to be able to get the information across and share this knowledge with brands. So it is long. And that's just the way it is for the time being. And really the purpose of everything we do and the purpose of DTC Live is all about inspiration, education and connection. How do we inspire you guys to not give up? You know, I know some of you in like really challenging circumstances might just think, oh my goodness. How do we educate you with all the things that we hear? Because we're on the front line often. We see across a large number of brands, and we're fortunate enough to have all these relationships with all these tech partners from America and all around the world. And then how do we ensure that we help you connect with other people, whether that's investors or just people you can become friends with? So the next motto that we live by is you become the average of the people you surround yourself with. And I just want to make you all aware that within this room, there are some amazing people. If we look at who is in our D2C Live audience, the majority of our audience is brands. So chances are you're going to be sitting next to somebody, and they're also normally key decision makers and C-suites at brands. So you're going to be sitting next to somebody who's from a brand. Sometimes we find brands sitting next to their direct competitors. And to be honest, they all actually really enjoy that and get on really, really well. So you're going to be sitting next to other brands, and make sure you talk to them and learn from them. The rest of our community comprises tech and creative. Most of our tech partners, you'll meet them through the day, venture capital firms and agencies. And these are some of the brands that some of you might be in the room today, but are definitely on our list and in our community attending our events and attending Royal Ascot. These are some of the venture capital firms that we're fortunate enough to have relationships and partner with us, and they rely on us to help them originate early stage deals. Now, the next thing is, all this is all very well and good, but you have to do the work. It's like knowledge is knowledge, and then it's like doing the work. And sometimes I find with brand teams, they're under-resourced in terms of who's going to get the work done. I was talking to someone earlier who was with someone. They said, this is who, where is it? Well, I can't see them. I said, this is the main person who does the work. And I was like, I love this. These people who can take the knowledge and apply it are so crucial to a brand's success. And finally, just a belief I have is that you have to be patient and consistent over time. We've lived through an era in which brands have believed in overnight success, and there's been some amazing case studies, some of whom are in the room today. You take the likes of True Classic, and again, I can't see anyone in this room. There's some phenomenal stories. True Classic, an American t-shirt brand, born out of a £3,000 investment into stock and is now a huge brand moving internationally. Adam spoke at our last conference. Has anyone got a True Classic t-shirt? There you are, you see? A lot of True Classic customers in the room. So we've lived through an era in which there have been some amazing success stories of brands that have grown really, really fast and achieved phenomenal results. And that's great, and that will always continue. But not every brand can be like that. And for the rest of the brands, it's a question of don't look at those guys and think, oh, you know, we haven't done this, so we're not any good, and they're amazing, and we're not doing so well. It's really not a great use of time. You know, they might have been born in a different era. They might have started in a different year. They might have performance marketers running their brand. Who knows what's going on? Just for your brand, remember that patience and consistency wins over time. So, with that in mind, I'm going to welcome our very first speaker to the stage. So who is ready for some inspiration and some education? Just have a show of hands.